Ricardo, we hear you. Shh. We clear to
All
go,
right.
man?
All right, Mr. Chair, we're good to go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Josh Lofka, Chair of the Libertarian Party of Florida. It is Sunday, October 20th, 2024, 7:32 p.m. So a little late start here. No big deal there. And at this time, I'll be calling this meeting of the Libertarian Party of Florida's Executive Committee to order here. So moving along with things at this time, Ms. Gansky, when you're ready, you can go ahead with roll call and introduction of guests.
Sure. By the way, 7:32 is pretty good. I don't think it's late. Josh,
I am present.
Matt,
I'm here.
I'm here, I think. Joe,
I'm here.
Ed is out and he has asked me to be his proxy.
Excused absence.
Yeah. I'm just gonna note.
1, 2, 3, good. All in.
Scott,
Here.
Lee,
Here.
I have marked on the agenda that Region 1 is vacant. Derek resigned. We'll get to that in a bit. Joey, I believe, is excused, and Robert is his proxy. Is that
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
That is correct.
Rob is here. Leon? I see Leon is connecting to audio. DL?
Present.
1, 2, 3, testing.
Andrew Parrott?
Here.
There you are. Beth?
Here.
David?
Here.
Eric?
Here.
Chris? Alan? Looks like Chris is absent. If somebody wants to ping him, go for it. James?
I am here.
John Paff, I believe Charlene is his alternate today. Is that correct?
Yep, I'm here. Thanks. Nope.
Deanna
I'm here.
and Hector.
Present.
Looks like we have 19 and one absent, assuming Chris does not join.
All right. Well, that sounds like we have quorum here in that case. So we will move along. Looks like our invited guest, Mr. McGee, is not in attendance tonight there, but luckily we still have the regional alt here on the call. So we do have quorum here, it looks like. Item 4 on the agenda is public comment here. So anyone not on the executive committee and anyone who is not a committee chair, we're given 10 minutes for you to address the executive committee here. So I think I just see Mr. Groves and Ms. Bordeaux is the only two non-committee or committee chairs or executive committee members. So if any of you guys have anything you'd like to address the executive committee with, now is your chance. Going once, going twice.
Ralph's trying to talk, but I can't hear him.
Ralph, you're muted, bud.
Still muted.
That would be a good here. Let me ask to unmute. Let's see if this works. Ralph, there should be a button there now for you to click to. There we go.
Okay,
right,
good.
Let's try this again.
Okay. Yeah, Ralph Groves here again, like I was here last month, just to be here as a fly on the wall, you might say. I'm not an executive committee member, but in coordination with Hector Roos, I'd like to run for Congress in the 11th Congressional District in 2026. So I'm well ahead of the game on that. And otherwise, I'll get out of your hair and not interfere with your meeting. Although at 8 p.m. I do have to leave because I have a wife with chronic medical conditions, and I have to give her medicine on time, doctor's orders. So I'll just listen in for 30 minutes.
Perfectly fine, Ralph. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate your interest in what we're doing over here with the committee. Is there anybody else who would like to address the committee before we move along with the orders of the day? Going once, going twice. All righty. Thank you all who have come on who are not on the EC or not a committee chair member. Appreciate your, once again, just like Ralph, your interest in what we're doing as a committee and how we're trying to move the party forward here. That'll wrap up item 4, which is public comment. Item 5, approval of the agenda here. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Propose a motion to approve the agenda.
All right, Mr. Montgomery moves to approve the agenda here. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
Motion to amend the agenda to strike the LNC report, the officers' reports except for treasurer, region rep reports except at large 1, region 3, 9, and 10. And I'll post this in the chat for the record so that it's there. Also, committee reports except for affiliate support, convention, fundraising, and legislative action and membership. And then I would also like to add to the chair's consent agenda the acceptance of Robert Krause's resignation from the fundraising committee.
Okay. That was a lot right there, Matt. Please post what.
It's there.
Will be.
Okay, there we
It's
go.
in.
All right.
Could I get a clarification on something?
It's already
can
stricken, Hector. It's already
I can
stricken.
try.
So I'm going to be able to speak, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, Joe.
Just
So
For
the
every
motion.
meeting, just have, I want to say something.
You're okay, Joe. So the motion itself, just so everybody knows, is to strike the LNC report, officers' reports except for the treasurer, so Joe gets to speak, region rep reports except for, and at-large reports except for at-large 1, region 3, region 9, and region 10, and
Correct.
all committee reports except for affiliate support, convention, fundraising, legislative action, and membership, and to add to the chair's consent agenda, the acceptance of Robert Krause's resignation from the fundraising committee, which in turn would strike motion 842 from our agenda here, guys. So it's a lot going on with this amendment here. I get it, but in simple terms, we're striking motion 842 and accepting Krause's resignation on the consent agenda, striking all the all the committee reports except for affiliate support, convention, fundraising, legislative action, and membership. All of the regional and at-large reports except at-large 1, region 3, region 9, and region 10, and all of the officer reports except treasurer and the LNC report. Is there any questions on this amendment?
I'm just still trying to get this down, so no questions, just trying to make sure I got everything.
Just to make sure I'm still on track here, did we get a second for this?
I'll second.
Yes, I remember you did, Ms. Gansky. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. All right. Is there any discussion on these amendments, guys? These are pretty historically.
Yeah. Just for those who may be new or maybe confused, I'll just really quickly speak to my motion. Mr. Krause has already resigned, so therefore I had Lisa withdraw my motion. And this, I fully expect with the other motions that this may be a longer meeting, and I'm just trying to save us all some time.
All right. Is there any further discussion on the amendment to the agenda on striking the reports?
I did post Region 9.
All right.
So do we want to amend the amendment to?
We can just we could just remove that.
All right.
I'll second it without that if you want. I don't want to write this over again.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a retarded thing to have.
How about we do this just to make it all parliamentary proper? I'm going to move to amend the amendment to
Thank you.
remove region 9. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. There's been a second by several people. I'm going to give it to Mr. Johnson because I heard him first. Is there any discussion on the amendment to the amendment real quick? Is there any objection to the amendment of the amendment real quick? Hearing no objection, we also strike Region 9. We're back on the amendment here, which is striking all the reports except for the ones mentioned. Region 9 is now also struck as mentioned through the amendment to our amendment a second ago. Is there any discussion further on this amendment here? Is there any objection to this amendment as amended? Hearing no objection to the amended amendment, amendment passes. We are striking all the reports except the ones mentioned. Once again, Region 9 is also struck due to, I believe it was Mr. Montgomery posting that there. So back on to approving the agenda as amended. Is there any further discussion or amendments to the agenda? Hearing silence. Is there any objection to the amended agenda? Hearing no objection, agenda passes. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. We have an agenda here. So we can move on to item 6, which is the approval of the LPFEC meeting minutes for September 2024. The link was in the agenda that we all got sent earlier by the secretary here. Is there anybody looking to entertain that motion? Or excuse me, is anybody looking to make that motion at this time?
So motioned.
So moved by Mr. Pinkowski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, I didn't see who it was. I think that was Mr. Montgomery. That was Eric. Okay, awesome there. So second from Mr. Montgomery. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes from September 2024? Hearing no discussion or debate, is there any objection to approving those meeting minutes as presented here for September 2024? Hearing nothing but Jeopardy theme, minutes are passed. All right, so we have official meeting minutes for September 2024. LNC report has been struck as per our amendment to the agenda, so we can move along from that. Committee reports are up next, item 8. We believe the first one up would be Affiliate Support Committee. Is Mr. Cordova on the call? I do not see Mr. Cordova. All right, here. Is there anybody from the Affiliate Support Committee who'd like to speak on the committee's behalf? All right, no worries. If we get Mr. Cordova on or anybody from the Affiliate Support Committee, we will circle back around to them over there. Next up is the Convention Committee. Mr. Wozniak, I also do not see on the call. Ms. Johnson, I know you are on the committee as well as Mr. Johnson. Would you guys like to speak on behalf of the committee?
I don't mind sharing a couple of things. We met as a committee in person on October 5th at the venue. So all of the committee members have an idea of what it looks like and what spacing will be and availability will be. I'm kind of excited to share that I have heard back from Spike Cohen's camp, and they are interested in attending as a speaker for a conference next year. But we are meeting as a committee on Monday evening to discuss and vote. And shortly after that, I expect some things to be able to go live on the website. The link is already up if people want to book their room. But further information about theme contests and etc. will be available shortly.
Are you going to be sending out emails like in the past to remind people to sign up?
The communications committee will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
It just so happens I work pretty closely with communications committee, so yeah, we'll be getting things out timely very soon.
That's glad. I'm very encouraged to hear that the communications committee is working with the convention committee very closely here. I don't know how that happened, but I'm going to assume it's been great networking from you guys over there. So keep up the good work. Glad to glad to hear that we're getting, we're getting a little closer to the end goal there. We got some guests, we got a couple draws now starting to come together. So awesome to hear that. I won't allow the committee to pepper poor Miss Johnson with questions since she is not the chair, but I do want to thank her for giving us a quick report on everything over here. And if you do have questions, definitely reach out to Mr. Wozniak there so we can get those headed together there. Thank you, DL, for the comment in the chat there. Anyway, now that I have a big smile on my face, next up would be the fundraising committee. And Mr. Roos, can you explain to us how you guys are putting the fun in fundraising?
Sure. I thought I was okay. Well, besides the details in the bulletin board, the committee has advancing a motion that we're going to hear later today. Just very briefly, talking about how we can recapture our membership that has not been engaged in the fundraising of the organization itself. So that has been a contact dialogue with the membership and communications committee to see if we can make use of the vast number of members by LPF standards that are members of national but not members of the LPF. And then, of course, then after that, we do have we're looking for members, of course. We're down to 2 members, so we do need a third to start making quorum again. In our last meeting, we did discuss the other proposed motion regarding the JFC, and there was unanimous feelings on the matter that we have a viable fundraising program that we can take beyond this November election cycle, and it will be beneficial for the organization. Besides that, it's just returning back to basics, reestablishing our connection with the membership members that are interested in the party, and building up from there. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer now, or you can look at the bulletin board details.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roos here. Is there any questions for Hector, the fundraising committee at all? I see Ms. Gansky's hand up.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, Ricardo. Looks like we got you back in here. Ms. Gansky, you can go ahead when your question, when you're ready.
Yeah, you mentioned getting back to basics. I wondered if you could share with us how many calls you guys have been making, like how many you made this past month, how many you make typically, just to members to try to get donations.
So we follow up with our fundraising leads as they come in. So I make these 10 a week. Stephen makes another his 10 on top of whatever calls the LNC, and that's generally we've been in charge of reaching out to our donors.
Yeah, I meant more.
Come back.
Yeah, I was.
It's pertinent. So the feedback we've been getting back has just been come back next year. After the election. That's why we've it hurts when we look at a recurring donor at $100, $200 a month. Tell us that, but that's basically what it is. And we hear that.
Yeah, you're a little bit hard to hear, Hector. I was more sort of thinking about in Nation Builder, you can tell if somebody's donated before. How many people do you call from there? And I guess like Matt has just mentioned in chat, we typically, when we're working on a member for whatever reason, like they reached out by email to communications or something, we'll put a note on that account, reached out to so-and-so. We have a CRM for this now. And so it would be really helpful if we could, start seeing some logs from fundraising of people that you've reached out to, not just leads from like somebody reaches out to fundraising, but people who have donated in the past who canceled, right? Those are people that you probably want to reach out to and find out what's going on. So that's more what I was talking about.
Makes sense. Except that the Nation Builder does not tell us who is a voided or canceled donor. We can only look at that on Stripe.
Yeah, it should still be logged in the CRM.
All right. Heard and noted.
All right. Any other questions for the fundraising committee or comments?
Josh, may I add a question or point?
Cliff, we'll save that for the this should have been during public comment here, so we're gonna have to hold off on that till maybe after the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
No problem there. Anything else for Mr. Roos before we move along with business here? Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you, Mr. Roos, for your report here. Next up is legislative action. Mr. Vincent, you can go ahead when you're ready with your report.
Yeah, I am working on the voter guide right now. We've already put out something for Amendment 3. Amendment 4, if it's fine with everyone, I don't think we're going to take a stance on that. We're going to say vote your conscience. And then if anyone has put together anything on Amendments 1 and 2 and 5 and 6, let me know if y'all have anything that I can kind of use off of. But other than that, I'm looking at getting that done tonight so we can get that to Matt Johnson and our newsletter so we can send it out before November 5th or 6th, I think.
Hey, Rob. I wrote a guide like probably about a month or so ago, and I emailed it to you. So maybe you missed it, but should be in your email. I can resend it if you want.
Okay, well, I mean, we can just use that guide then, I guess.
It's totally up to you. I wrote it to you so that you would have something that you were able to like not start from scratch. So
All right.
I have no attachment to anything but 3 and 4. If we were to just do 3 and 4, I would be fine with that. I think you have the right call, either vote your conscience or no recommendation on 4 is in line with the platform.
Yeah, I mean, how do we feel about 4 as a board? I know nationally we don't have a stance on it necessarily. I know people feel different. It's a split issue, so I'm kind of curious how everyone feels on the board about it.
I think vote your conscience is the right way to go because no recommendation, it confuses people who don't come to the meetings, who aren't involved. If you say vote your conscience because this is controversial, to me, that seems like a little bit less abrasive.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, is it okay if I jump in for a second here, Lisa?
I'm done.
I was just going to say that's kind of what we were waiting to get a little bit more direction from LPF on Amendment 5 because we're kind of split on that. But Amendment 4, we're right there with you. I'm glad that's the official state stance because we said we want the Libertarian Party to be able to have people with a wide range of views regarding that. And so we just said no official stance, and then we said we urge all voters to vote their conscience.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring for 4 at least. Yeah, that sounds good. And then I do need to add. Go ahead.
I just want to say, are we discussing these right now, or is this something you're saying to get with you outside of this call? I just want clarification.
We can save time and you can discuss outside, but I was leaving it open for either or.
Okay, well, because the thing is, we were wanting to try to put something out tonight or early tomorrow because in-person early voting starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so the one that we were hung up on as an affiliate is Amendment 5. And the reason we were hung up on it is because, Miami-Dade, Hector's team put out one, and he raised some good concerns, but then we had some views on the other side of it. So like inflation adjustment for homestead exemption, it is coming from the state level, but it's lowering the tax responsibility of the homeowner as well to keep up with national inflation. So it seems like libertarians would be on board with less taxes, but also I get the concern of it being the state dictating to the county, and the county is who levies the taxes. So, so that's kind of where we were torn. We were actually kind of landing on yes for that because of it lowering taxes and forcing the county to actually raise the tax percent instead of just being able to assess the home at a higher volume or a higher value and get a higher tax rate without passing anything. But like I said, we see both sides of this. So that's why I was just wondering if maybe there could be some discussion on this so that we can like listen to that and then put out our decision for our voters either tonight or early in the morning for early voting.
Mhm. Yeah, from what Lisa sent me.
Yeah, that one was one that I was a little bit not so sure on. Also, Amendment 2. I've seen a little bit of discussion that could make it go either way. And because of that, those two, I would say we might just leave out. But maybe explain it could be libertarian because this, but also it could be the other way, right? Because with the right to fish and hunt, which is Amendment 2, it preserves the rights of Floridians to fish and hunt, but it also leaves to the government emphasizing responsible wildlife management, which I don't know, like letting them dictate conservation could also be problematic. So both of these fall into that very gray area.
Yeah, that is true.
So is it something where maybe we put out a statement explaining the dynamics of those two to people rather than say, kind of like, abortion, like it's a vote your conscience. We have a wide range. These other two, it's, hey, these are the positives, the negatives. We're obviously for, as libertarians, lowering tax burden, but also we don't like the state dictating to counties what they can do either, because we want
I
the
think,
lowest,
David, you just convinced me that we should have no on both of these because it's leaving too much up to chance with the government.
Yeah. I think that's kind of how I was leaning too, but I will kind of include a little pro and con just to kind of put a bow on this. I'll include bow and pro and con, kind of like we did with Amendment 3. Say like, yes, it is good incrementally, but you can't grow your own. It doesn't go far enough, kind of thing. So it's gonna be like no, but here. Yeah. Other than that, for legislative action, I need to add Stacy Keene and one other person. It's in my report from last month to the committee. Seeing as our convention's not until June, we should be able to get a good bit of things done with them being added next month.
I'll make a comment on Amendment 5.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so I personally am voting yes on it, but I also have a lot of rentals. And you guys wouldn't believe the difference in the tax rate after you have a property for a long time. The reason I'm voting yes is it's going to be harder for them to raise the rate. So it just might force them to cut some spending. But that's one of the cons that you didn't talk about. That all non-occupied homes, they may just say, okay, if owner-occupied homes are not going to pay, let's just shift it to non-owner occupied homes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is a good point. If you feel strongly a different way, this is.
I'm voting yes on it, even though it affects me.
Yeah. Send me your stances, like in an email to legislative action. That way,
okay.
Anybody, if you feel a certain way about one of the amendments, then we can kind of add that as a little note, depending on what everyone thinks tomorrow or this week before we send it out. All right. I yield.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vincent there. So that completes Legislative Action Committee's report there. Last one is going to be Dr. Mihas with the Membership Committee. I know Ricardo was saying he was having some trouble hearing us. I know we could hear him. Ricardo, if you can hear us, you can unmute and give us your report real quick. All right. I don't know if Dr. Mihas can hear us. Ricardo, if you come back and you can hear any of us talking, just let us know and we'll circle back around so you can get your report in. I guess otherwise I will move along to Mr. Sokol, Treasurer Report. Joe, here's your chance to speak on things. So when you're ready, you can go ahead, sir.
Okay, the first thing, still haven't received any money from the Nathan Snyder campaign. Talked to him several times, and so is David. I personally think he needs a treasurer. I think that's what's going on. I don't think he's willfully not paying. I just think he needs some help. That being said, now the treasurer's report, pretty much the same thing. So I'm not going to go all over the numbers. I am going to say that on average, we're negative $300 or $400 a month. So, and then there's sometimes there's bigger expenditures. So right now we have in our state account a little over 22,000. Continuing like we are now, we'd be at zero probably in about 3 years. So I don't make the decisions on what money is spent or where the money's coming in. Just to let you guys know that we are pretty much a negative every month. This month we had to pay the accountant, so we were negative over $1,500. But if you average it out for the year, we're negative probably a little more than 400 a month. Any questions?
Is that something that David can help with? I know that they have a little bit.
No, because I talked with, you're talking about the Nathan Snyder. No, he's called him too. I think he needs a treasurer or something. I don't know.
He's serving as his own treasurer, right, David? I don't.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm serving as my own treasurer for my own campaign, and sending a check is nothing more than a 5-minute task. It's a little concerning that this request has been. It's a little concerning that this has gone on for 3 or 4 months, and it's being avoided.
I don't know what more to do. I really don't. So basically, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it up every month because I don't see any sense in me calling him anymore. So I'll just bring it up every month and so you guys get tired of hearing me.
In your opinion, send a letter, like a formal letter requesting he send us a check from the account? Like, would that help?
Maybe.
Okay, I'll put it down as a suggestion and
I'll just say, as Lisa, as you know, if we're looking at steps to reclaim it, it would be good to have something formally and in writing like that. Just, you know, if I were objectively talking about this, I think that's a good idea. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like a good start.
Do that as a next step. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I've got. Any questions? Okay.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Sokol here. Appreciate you giving us your report there. Moving on from officers' reports, or moving on to director at large and regional reports here. At large one would have been Mr. Appler, but he is absent tonight and excused, so we're going to move along. The region 3 report is Mr. Vincent, who is on the call. Rob, when you're ready, you can go ahead with your regional report.
Yeah, I heard from a husband and wife in Leon County that wanted to start an affiliate. I called them and emailed them, and I haven't heard back, so I'm gonna reach back out to them, and then try to set something up with them, and in conjunction with the college Libertarians. I followed them on Instagram and Facebook and reached out to them, and they're active at FSU, and so I want to work with them and affiliate support to try to do a tailgate / voter registration drive, and that's, you know, we only got one more month basically to do that, so it's gonna be tough, but if not, you know, we can still try and do an event in Tallahassee. But we do have 2 people interested in starting an affiliate in Leon County, so that's the main goal right now. And that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Sounds like we're 2/3 of the way to an affiliate in Leon County, if that's the case there. So definitely keep trying to reach out to them. Any questions for Mr. Vincent before we move along with orders of the day? Going once, going twice. Alrighty, awesome here. Next on for reports would have been Mr. Allen, Region 10, but he is also not on the call. So if he does show up, we will circle back around to him. Otherwise, we will continue on with orders of the day, which would lead us to item 11 on the agenda, which is the chairman's consent agenda. We are going to accept the resignation of Derek Davidson as Region 1 rep, as well as Robert Kraus from the fundraising committee, removal of Morgan Group from the membership committee since he's been non-responsive and hasn't been coming to meetings, and appoint Edward Appler to the audit committee here. So if there is objection at this time, we will take that. Objection doesn't mean that these things will not get accepted. It just means that they're moved into new business and we will have a full-on vote on the matter. Going once with objections, going twice with objections, 3 times. All right. Chairman's consent agenda all passes. We've accepted the resignation of Mr. Davison and Mr. Kraus, removed Mr. Group from the membership committee, and appointed Mr. Appler to the audit committee, which brings us to item 12, beginning of new business. First would be the election of a Region 1 representative. At this time, if anybody's interested in the Region 1 position, or if somebody would like to nominate somebody for that position, please speak now. Going once, going twice.
Hey, I am trying to talk. There we go. Can you all hear me?
Mr. Hanush, are you looking to be appointed to the Region 1 position?
Yeah, I was waiting for others to nominate me, but I guess I'll nominate myself.
I'll do the honors, Mr. Hanush. I'm going to nominate Joe Hanush for Region 1 over here. Is there any further nominations for the position?
I nominate Noda. Noda's always in order.
Noda is always in order per our bylaws. So yes, we can add Noda onto the list here. That being said, do we have any substantial non-bylaws required nominees that I can add to the list? Going once, going twice.
I do have one question.
I have hopefully one answer.
It seems like, Robert, you're doing some good stuff in Region 3, but you reside in Region 1, right?
Yeah, and I've been Region 1 before.
I just wanted to put it out there that we have a person who resides in Region 1 on the EC and who's serving as region rep out of his region. So I wondered if there's if you have any desire to switch to Region 1.
So that would be a parliamentary gauntlet to go through there, because then we would have to accept the resignation of Mr. Vincent from Region 3. We would have to appoint Mr. Vincent to the position of Region 1, which would be a little awkward in the meeting minutes. Vote him in and then appoint somebody, and then go back and appoint somebody to Region 3. Now,
I mean, Mr. Chair, I'm assuming Joe also would go for Region 3 as well. So it's,
a little redundant there. Now, what I would say is that if Mr. Vincent and Mr. Hanush would like to kind of coordinate with each other on, helping each other out within regions, considering Joe is a little closer to Region 3 than Region 1, absolutely, I can understand that. But I mean, I just think that we're going to add more moving parts to an already what's supposedly going to be a long meeting there by doing that. So
can we put it on the agenda for next meeting?
Would we like to, are we saying we would like to skip over the nomination for Region 1 and then circle back around to this in November?
What if we go forward with what we've already started with Joe versus Noda, and then next month for the consent agenda, we could put it up to swap them?
I don't think that's against the rules. I've legitimately never heard of that in my time in the LPF, so I'm gonna have to. I would have to talk with rules about that, but in the short term, let's get butts and seats for now. Let's get people in positions, and we can worry about flip flopping who's doing what responsibilities once we got everybody in, everybody's butts and seats, so to speak. There. All right, so let's move along back on orders of the day here, guys. We'll figure out, if we can, how to swap everybody around and do the crisscross later. But for now, we have Mr. Hanoush against the bylaws required nota for Region 1 here. Mr. Hanoush, like I always do, I'd like to give you the opportunity, a couple minutes here, just to speak on your behalf and address the EC with what you bring to the table here, and then we will move into a quick vote and move along back on orders of the day here. So, Mr. Hanoush, when you're ready, the floor is yours.
I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hanoush. I like your punctuality and briefness is noted here. Is there any discussion on Mr. Hanoush?
Joe, if you need any help up in Region 1, just give it me, and I'd love to work with you and see what we can get done here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Thank you, Mr. Hanoush, for being accepting. Is there any objection to Mr. Hanoush's addition to the executive committee?
I thought we were voting between him and Noda.
Well, I mean, if there's objection, then you would be voting for Noda, I would believe. Would you not, Ms. Gansky?
Well, Matt nominated Noda, so I just thought that there was going to be like an election. That's all I'm saying.
All right, we can make this a longer meeting than it's got to be. Let's do the roll call vote, Ms. Gansky. Go ahead when you're ready.
We don't necessarily have to do roll call.
No, let's do this roll call vote. Let's go ahead.
I feel like a little bit of hostility.
Nope, I just want to move.
Can't we just do a voice vote like we normally do? Like that's all I'm asking for, because Matt asked for Noda to be included. So that's all I'm asking for.
I'd like to
do a
request
voice
the individual vote.
Guys, we've had a lot of talking. If we just started the roll call vote, we could be halfway through it by now.
Yeah, like I said, we could have just done a voice vote and we would be fine.
We could have never nominated Noda as well, but here we are.
Historically, when we hit point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Historically, whether it's been a committee chair or officer or region rep, when there has been a person nominated and Noda nominated as well, we've simply done an approval voting on each candidate.
Which I thought I was doing. If I was asking for objections, if there was objections, then obviously we had to go into a voice vote. I figured this was going to be a pretty quick process here, but we're making it extra long for what reasons I am failing to understand. So let's try this.
Are we doing a voice vote?
All in favor of putting Joe Hanoush on the executive committee, please say aye.
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 All opposed and would prefer Noda to be in Region 1, please say no.
No.
Sounds to me like the ayes have it. Mr. Hanoush, congratulations. You are the new Region 1 rep. You were seated immediately per our bylaws. So welcome to the executive committee here, Mr. Hanoush. Moving along with orders of the day here, we're going on the item B under new business, election of a deputy treasurer. At this time, I will take nominations for a deputy treasurer. Going once, going twice. All right, we will come back to the deputy treasurer in November and see what we get there. Moving along, motion number 842 has been struck as we've accepted the resignation of Mr. Krause. Yes.
Real quick.
I don't even know who's talking. Oh.
This is Clifford.
Clifford, I'm going to have to call you out of order. You're not on the executive committee. This is an executive committee business meeting, Cliff. I'm sorry.
All right. That's what I was checking.
All right, guys. So motion number 842 has been struck as we've already accepted Mr. Krause's resignation from the fundraising committee. Motion number 843 is titled Membership Fundraising Program. Mover is Mr. Roos on behalf of the fundraising committee. Mr. Roos, actually, before we start, is there a second to this motion?
Second.
Came out of,
All right.
came out of committee, but appreciate it.
Second from, oh, it did come out of fund committee, but there was a
it came out of
second.
committee. It doesn't need a second.
My apologies, guys. I'm moving a little too quick tonight. That's what I get for rushing. Mr. Roos, would you like to go ahead and discuss, speak on your motion before we go into discussion?
Oh, would somebody mind reading it? I'm driving at the moment.
I think we can skip reading it aloud, right? Everybody's had this copy since Thursday.
Is there any objection to skipping the reading? All right, no objection to skipping the reading, so we'll go skip that. Mr. Roos, would you like to discuss it further, or would we like to go into group discussion?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Wonderful. As I said earlier in the fundraising committee report, this is establishing essentially a paid member tiers. Now, don't get excited about members, because this has been vetted about by people who are much better understanding about the rules than I do. Basically, we will preserve our basic membership at $0. That's our statutorily required 0 basic members. The proposal creates three different membership tiers: a basic annual membership at $25, a triple membership program of $75, representing $25 for national, $25 for state, $25 for county. We already have an escrow for county affiliates, so that's where it goes if they don't already have the county affiliate in place. That's the triple membership program is based on what LP Indiana does, and they raise a substantially, they have a very successful fundraising program based on this. As I said earlier, at least, and it's in the motion, at least 1 in 6 donors, only 1 in 6 donors to national from Florida are giving to that give to national, give to the Florida affiliate. So this is intended to bridge or restore the connection between these members that we miss entirely, and those that are giving to national. So this also includes a policy change that says that we will collect that $25 for national, and then write a check out of our Federal Elections Commission account or FEC account to the national, and tell them who we say have identified as people who want to be national members. And this Indiana does it monthly, so we shouldn't have a problem doing it monthly. Ultimately, this is we're offering this for each. Oh, and the last tier is a lifetime membership tier set at $2,000. Of course, we can always adjust these numbers, but the point is that we establish this as a policy that we intended to create these member tiers and we're using membership as like a marketing label, not a legal one. So when we talk about member benefits, we're talking about things that are not legal benefits, but more of the variety as written in the motion. Things like a bumper sticker, a lapel pin, access to a digital newsletter, and this actually has 0 cost to the LPF, because it gets paid off from the proceeds of this program. So this is revenue neutral, and that ends my presentation on this idea. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roos. I see a couple hands up in the gallery. I got Mr. Sokol was first, then Ms. Skansky. We'll go in that order. Joe, when you're ready, you have the floor, sir.
Okay. So for the next treasurer, and just to make this clear, I'm going to be sending an email out probably within the next couple of weeks. I'm going to serve until the next convention. I'm not serving beyond that. All right. And so you're kind of creating a nightmare here, which is actually harder than the federal, but the one that goes to the counties. So now you're gonna have to set up all these accounts for all these unaffiliated counties and keep track of that. Can I do that? Yes. The reason I will be stepping down at the next convention, even though this particular thing serves out for another year, is because of the time. I just don't have the time to do that. And I don't, same thing with the federal. We're going to put it in a state account, put it in a federal account, mail them a check. If you guys want to do it, I'll do that while I'm still serving. But why don't we just concentrating? I think it's a great idea, but let's just raise money for the LPF. That's what I think we should do.
All right, thank you,
Sure,
Mr.
if I
Sokol.
if I may answer
Okay,
to
go
that.
ahead. Yeah.
Actually, it's a really good concern that you're saying about raising to the LPF. So right now, all the funds that we are talking about are going to the LNC directly. We have no knowledge of them. We don't track these members. We have no relationship with them whatsoever. So by inserting ourselves into the process, we capture those funds first. We identify these donors. We identify their interests. If we had to wait for the LNC to tell us who they are, we would wait a year, up to a year. And so
That's
this
not
is
true. It's public information. You can go online and get it every quarter.
Well, we don't get their contact information. We don't get the relationship matters. So when from fundraising perspective, we want to come back.
It would take me 5 minutes to do that. So that, I don't think that's a good reason. All this is public information. So yeah, you'd have to wait 3 or 4 months, not a year. I just want to clarify that.
That's why I said up to. Yes, indeed. I'm just trying to capture money that is already leaving the state, right? It's already leaving our state affiliate. So the idea here is to capture. This is the same logic that for the basis for Indiana created this. I understand it adds more. It can add more work, and if this is wildly successful, obviously we would have to have that conversation that it's that much work.
You can't even get a deputy treasurer.
We both talked about that before. Yes.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Roos, for addressing it. Thank you, Mr. Sokol. I got Ms. Gansky, Mr. Cummings, and Mr. Hanush. Ms. Gansky, when you're ready, go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'm going to start. I have a few issues with this motion. I would again urge you, Hector, to postpone this motion until next month or the following month if it takes longer for you guys to get this sorted out. But you've misspoken on a few things here. You said that this will cost us nothing. That's not true. You have inserted membership cards and bumper stickers, which would go to anyone who registers for this program. There's no information on how much this costs to get printed. There's no pricing. You haven't included these details that we really need to actually vote for this, because as Joe stated earlier in the call, we are losing money every single month, right? So if we had a bunch of people sign up for the freebie, then we owe people a bunch of bumper stickers and we have no extra money to do it with, right? Now, the most important thing is our rules committee has asked you not to use the word member. You submitted it with the word member. You wouldn't change it. You wouldn't reach out to your committee to change it before this meeting. You did have time to do so. We can't put this in the way it is now. We cannot vote on this with the word member because the Florida state law says you can't charge memberships. Now, I understand it's optional, but we can't use the word member. So this is not a well thought out motion. You don't have details that we need. And then finally, if that's not enough, you're giving out a monthly newsletter. Who's going to write it? Because I'm on the communications team and we are begging people to submit things. We don't have enough submissions to write a monthly newsletter unless myself, Matt, Jeremiah, and Theodore actually write every single piece of it, because people are not submitting stuff to our newsletter queue. So this should be postponed. It's not well thought out. You don't have enough details. It's not free. Thank you.
Ms. Gansky, are you looking to make the motion to postpone?
I'm suggesting it. I'm not making a motion. I'm suggesting that he pulls it voluntarily so you don't have to waste time voting.
Okay, just wanted to make sure you didn't want to make that motion.
Mr. Chair, should I answer the?
If you'd like, Mr. Roos.
Just very briefly, the Rules Committee has actually said, has formally said nothing on this motion. I
You
was
were
in the
at the
same Rules
meeting.
Committee. You were, yes, I was. And they said the same thing. They
Would you
you know,
like
the
me to
Rules Chair
formulate
had not even
something?
read the if someone was present there, they can also say very clearly that the Rules Committee actually had not even read the motion and went off a description of that you presented. And when asked, I stated that responsibly that that membership is not, there is no legal obligation creating this, and the Rules Chair was fine with that. If the Rules Chair is here present, he can speak for himself. I'm simply saying here that it's a marketing term. There's nothing in state law that even says that we're not allowed to charge for quote membership. We're just not allowed to burden someone with requiring them to have be financially encumbered in order to have full participation in the party business. That's literally what the statute says. So other than that, I can't give you a number of what something costs because we
But it's
don't even
not
have
free.
a program in place. What? Sorry.
It's not free. You said it was free. It's not free.
Nothing in this party is actually free, right?
Okay, you
Nothing.
said it was free. So
So
you're rescinding that.
no,
Thank you.
I said revenue neutral. I said it doesn't. That proceeds from the program would cover any expenses that are generated for it. And a bumper sticker that costs a couple dollars to then mail to a basic member would be of great benefit to members, as well as it's something that we should be doing as a fundraising committee anyway. Frankly, this entire year we have not spent $1 on fundraising, and then people ask me why, right? So I think this clearly establishes a policy of why we're supposed to be raising money, what we're raising money towards, the benefits that they're supposed to be giving. We don't have that in place right now. So this is an opportunity for the board to actually entertain something that actually is a soup to nuts fundraising program that has been effective for other states. There's no reason why it wouldn't be effective here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roos. I got Mr. Cummings, Mr. Hanush is up with hands, and then after that, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Moskrip. Once again, guys, the more we discuss, the longer the meeting goes. But Mr. Cummings, when you're ready, you have the floor.
Sure, thank you. I like the idea, and I would encourage my peers here to consider expressing that whether they like the idea overall, and if they do, but still have issues with it, to say, hey, I like the idea, but I would like to see this before I can vote on it. I think that would be a little bit more productive. In my opinion, just kind of looking at it, disregarding any potential issues just as it's written, I think that this gives us something, Ms. Gansky earlier mentioned something about calling people. When we call people and say, hey, would you like to sign up, under this new program that we're starting, or, however we do that, and we reach out to members, this gives us something very, very specific to provide to members. And then we can initiate conversation to say, okay, what would it take for you to sign up to be, a $25 member, a $75 member, so on and so forth, right? And so I think this gives us a little bit of leverage to get some specific feedback from the membership while we're trying to basically separate people from their money. So, but I would like to see if, if people would kind of construct their arguments, more in the, the sense of like, I either they oppose it entirely and why, or if they don't oppose it and say, here are the things that are a problem for me and that are preventing me from opposing it now, because I would like to see this, even if we voted down tonight, I would like to see it come back to the table, nice and clean and ready to be voted yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. All right, Mr. Hanush, you're next up. Go ahead when you're ready, sir.
Yeah, thank you. To all the points, Hector and DL made good points that it's a good idea. But to the points of Joe and Lisa made, this requires work. And this sounds to me, if I'm doing the math right, it's going to end up costing us money. It might be incentive to make money, but frankly, it sounds like it's going to be a losing of money, because I'm assuming the folks already donating are grandfathered in, and we would already be obligated to send out whatever sticker or whatever to those quote unquote members. But yeah, I do have an issue with the legality of using that term as well, as Lisa brought out, and the extra workload on an unpaid volunteer that Joe pointed out. So at this time, I'd be voting no, but unless I hear someone convince me otherwise. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hanush, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Moskrip, in that order. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I love the idea. I just agreed with that it's just not fleshed out all the way. I would like to point out that it was Ms. Gansky mentioned in the Rules Committee, they said you're not allowed to use the term membership. Hector argued against that. We do have the Rules Committee chair here. I would like to have him clarify whether or not that is in fact something that was discussed. And if it was, then I would motion to table.
All right, Mr. Thompson, would you like to speak on that since you and your committee have been brought into this?
Yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
We discussed the issue, and what was said was that the term membership has to be very clear in its usage. Our Constitution does say that the membership cannot be encumbered, so it's clearly there. Now the fundraising chair has said, okay, well, we have the basic membership that accomplishes that and maintains that. We have to be very clear in how we advertise this, how we market this, and that we aren't violating the statute or our own governing docs with this program. To speak to this a little further, the Gansky is also correct in her talking about encumbrance. This motion says, or the mover states that it's self-funding. That may be well and true, but there is no accounting of those costs within this motion to say this is what our expected outlay is for these different items. I think that that's important for the body to know. And also that this program should be a program and not just a page of written text, a full out program with responsibilities for all the different members of our organization. It's one thing to pass a motion, but it's another thing to put that motion into practice. And far too frequently in our party's history have we had motions like this come up, and then we put them into practice, and there aren't people to carry the ball forward. We don't have buy-in other than the people who made the move. And the mover in this case is not going to do all of the work. Or if they did most of the work, it would be an unfair burden on them as an individual. We've already seen the others push back on the level of labor. So those things are important to note, but especially the fact that the statute and our Constitution is very clear that membership cannot be financially encumbered. And so kind of like how with National has, you can be a member of National and not pay, and yet it's like hidden where you find how to actually do that. We want to make sure that that is not the case for us, and that it is understood and it is displayed not prominently, at least, well on the website, where it's not hidden, let's say, to the casual observer, that yes, that membership, paying for membership is not required to participate in our business in a meaningful way.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thompson, for the explanation. Mr. Johnson, was there anything else there, or do we just want to
move the table?
Move.
That would have been mine, but since Mr. Moskrip has his hand up, I will let him speak first at his first bite.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I just wanted to say I'm a big fan of this idea in general. I grew up in Indiana. A lot of you know this. Indiana runs extremely freaking well. And so just to point that out, and I know that this is based on Indiana's model. With that being said, just reading the room, I think that I would like to make a motion to postpone it because I want it to be refined so that we can come back together and get this approved and get it moving forward. And that's my goal. And if Hector wants my help, I know that Matt probably is interested in help. You know, I'm not volunteering you, but I'm saying it sounds like a lot of us are very interested in seeing this be
Absolutely.
successful. We just want it to be refined and see the logistics of how it's going to work. So unless this is out of order, you guys know I'm terrible at the rules, but I would like to make a motion to postpone it to next month, and
Second.
we can have 30 days to work on it.
Second.
All right. Finally, we got what I've been trying to lead us towards for the last 15, 20 minutes. Mr. Moskip is moving the postpone. It's been seconded by Mr. Johnson here. The postponement would be till next month, guys. So it would be considered old business on our November agenda. That being said, is there any, I don't believe moving to postpone is a debatable motion.
I wanted to amend it to put some qualifications. Can I do that, Josh?
I mean, we're moving to postpone it, Lee. If the motion to postpone passes, my suggestion would be to get with the group that wants to war game this over the next couple of weeks, and that way we can come in with the November agenda and everything's hashed out. It's all clear, concise, and it can just be squeaky clean. So it's just a real quick in and out with that motion.
Sure, but if it doesn't go through the audit committee, who has to look at the impact to the financials and the treasurer and the turnover and all the processes, then I will vote no next month. Just letting everyone know now. Thank
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Coritz. No, I agree. Let's make sure that, once again, this goes through all the proper processes, all the proper channels here. Is there any I believe, once again, the motion to postpone is not debatable. If I'm not mistaken, it just requires a majority vote for this one here. So we'll take it to a quick voice vote here, I guess. I'm going to say there we probably could have done it by consent, but all in favor of postponing this motion till November so we have time to clean it up, please say aye.
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 All opposed to postponement and think the motion's fine and want to move along with business with this one, please say no. All right.
Mr. Chair, point of information.
What information
Just
are we
real
needing?
quick. I don't need, just for the record, a motion to postpone is in fact debatable according to Roner.
All right. Did we really want to debate this after about 30 minutes of debate, guys? Thank you.
I don't,
appreciate that.
Just
let's all
out.
respect. Nope, understood. I want to respect everybody's time tonight here. You know, we got a few extra things on the agenda. I know the next one's going to be an interesting hot topic one. So we're going to talk about the membership, whatever we want to call it, fundraising program in November here, and we will move along to motion 844. It is motion is titled Authorize the LPF to join the Kennedy Victory Fund 2024 Joint Fundraising Committee. The mover is Mr. Roos. Do we have a second for this? Going once on the second. Going twice on the second.
I don't see it on the agenda.
It is the one that Ms. Gansky sent most recently was what I had pulled it up on, but
Yep, it's 844.
It's on there.
I am not here. I'm going to give one more chance on a second, and we are going to move along if I don't get that second.
I'll second it.
All right, Mr. Vincent seconds. So we are moving along with the motion here. Mr. Roos, would you like to speak on your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, everybody. So we're back after with this motion after several months. We're almost to election day, about 15 full days away from it. So regardless, the impact of passage is going to be after, pretty much after the election, and that's a very important distinction because this is the calculation or the thought process about why we shouldn't get into it from those who have concerns of this are largely satisfied, but because the election's over and we're not dealing with a candidate, we're not dealing with anything that triggers a concern regarding who we're supporting or what we're supporting or any confusion of that nature. Now, the reason why this comes out in terms of why I'd like to return to this question is mainly because we already actually were into this program for several weeks, and our name was, as an organization, was allowed to be used to raise money. I believe that that organization actually owes the LPF funds to the tune of about at least $26,000. Because at the same time, another LP affiliate also received the same amount, who joined at the same time at that time. In that instance, had received that amount. I would say that because of the nature of the timing of this and when we would start getting funded, which would be after the election, I have reached out to the campaign, and I didn't hear any opposition back towards me. In fact, I asked if I could read a note from our vice presidential nominee, Mike Tremont, in regards to the thought process as to why they had been opposed to it, and what we're tasked with thinking about it, and how to think about this. Just so take this as a grain of salt. This is not explicit opposition. This is just for us how to think about it. And his words are 2 points. In the original thought process for this, that this wasn't a good business decision for the LP. The party's job is to develop its brand, organizational capabilities, and funds to support libertarian candidates. This move by the National Party has substantially undermined our party's brand, both among members and outside the party. Second, this is an ethical breach of the party's expected commitment to support campaigns representing members of our party. Supporting a campaign in a competition with ours is counter to this expectation. Objectively, this is his conclusion. Objectively, the above points are real problems. The counter argument is that the money is worth these problems, but we now know that the National Party will receive a disturbingly small amount of that money. That's his point to which, of course, if we talk about this taking place after the election is over, then for the most part, not any of those concerns are actually resolved. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions. And thank you, and I yield my time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Roos. I got Mr. Johnson's hand up. I got Mr. Sokol's hand up, Mr. Moscrip's hand up. Mr. Johnson, you are up and been waiting since the get-go, so you're going to get to go first. And then Joe, David, you'll be after that. Matt, floor is yours when you're ready, sir.
Sure. I would just like to point out that the Rules Committee has stated that this specific vote to re-enter this joint fundraising committee requires a suspension of the rules and a 2/3 vote. I also would like to point out that this does, in fact, between now and election, help a candidate who may have suspended their election, but is, in fact, endorsing and continuing to fund the Trump campaign. But I just wanted to point out the point of order real quick.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Sokol, go ahead when you're ready, sir.
Just got a question. Is this money already raised?
Yes, sir. They have.
So
Sorry.
it's not money in the future. It's money that's already raised?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. That's all I want to know.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sokol. Mr. Moscrip, go ahead, sir. David?
Sorry, I was muted. I'm an old man, you know. So my question was, if this is not going to be funds that we see till after the election, I would prefer that we also would not make the decision till after the election, because I don't want it to look like the LP is in any way supporting the Trump campaign, which is 100% the reason why I am in the LP and not the Republican Party, was because of Donald Trump. And so that's my 2 cents.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Moscrip. Mr. Hanush, would you like to go ahead, sir?
Yeah, again, I agree with all the points made already, both in favor and out of favor of it. And I just want to add to that if there was money already, excuse me, if there was money already made for on our behalf in a deal that was never legitimate to begin with, that sounds like a legal issue there. And that alone, frankly, would urge myself to vote against it. So that's my take. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hanush here. I got Ms. Gansky with her hand up. Go ahead when you're ready, Ms. Gansky.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I thought that when we voted to not be in this JFC previously, that it was decided if we received any checks, we would send them back and not cash them. So I just want to make sure that for Joe's sake and for anyone else here, we did not take any money. Even if we were given money, we returned it.
Ms. Gansky, if we took the money, there would be an extra $26,000 in our FEC account that we have not been noted or reported on. So no, there has been no money received, no money's been taken, no money's been added. We are still $26,000 poorer than we were, as we were.
Mr. Chair, if I may take the time to respond to a few of these questions or statements.
If you'd like, Mr. Roos.
Thank you. I want to start off by saying that, of course, everyone's noticed that fundraising has been light this year. It's been light for everybody. It's unfortunate. It is a fortunate situation of this political year. To the extent that even our presidential campaign is probably one of the most underfunded in the history of the LP. It goes to show that also the rest of the LP affiliates in the National Party are also at all-time lows for fundraising. That is the nature of this particular political year. We've done our best to try and steer through this timing. And so when we think about the expenses that we have to deal with into the future, we have a renewal for Nation Builder that comes up after this. We have additional expenses that we want to take on, and we want to continue to save money to support our candidates into the future. We have to, if not this, we have to consider other ways to fundraise for these things outside of this particular fundraising program. On the other note, I want to mention that things have been discussed in the Rules Committee, but nothing I've seen actually has come out of that authoritatively. Even if that was the case, this board has the authority to come to an agreement about what their own rules say. The Rules Committee cannot do that for this body. So the Rules Committee, in that sense, has the EC has the authority, in other words, to come up with its own interpretation of its own rules. The Rules Committee is not an appellate authority. It's not even a parliamentarian authority to do so. And with that said, if you look at the rules, our governing docs actually say we cannot suspend our rules just willy-nilly like that, because our governing docs do not provide for it. They do not. Ronner does, and only one circumstance, and that is when it has to do with rules that do not affect that only affect the meeting itself. So on an ongoing contract or agreement that we're talking about, we couldn't suspend the rules for that because it would be a suspension beyond the scope of this meeting. So we don't have the authority to do that. So this is what I'm trying to say. We don't have all that. We don't have all. The things that we say are not necessarily what is actually the case in the rules. So, and I stand by the justification that this EC approved by voting for the rescission in the first place back in August. The chair entered us into an agreement into this fundraising program. This EC rescinded that authority, but by doing so, proved that the chair had the authority to do so, and the basis for that authority as well was approved. So same thing. We're just we're just following the same justification that the chair laid out before. Now coming to the EC and asking for explicit to actually debate the contract, which we did not do, this agreement, and return to this conversation. Thank you for your time, and I.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Roos. I got Mr. Moskrip and Mr. Johnson's hand back up over here. Mr. Moskrip, you'll get your second bite at the apple. Mr. Johnson, you'll get your second bite, and then maybe we'll vote.
All right. Yeah, I just want to say, that's a weird deduction to make. And, Hector, I'm on board with some of the fundraising stuff you're trying to do, but that's a weird deduction to make that by voting on it, we agreed that the chair had the ability to enter into that agreement, because the overwhelming majority was that we did not want to enter into that agreement. And that's why we were all saying, Josh, we love you, we disagree with this. And so I just don't see how you can make that deduction based on what the vote was.
Thank you, Mr. Moscrip here. Mr. Johnson, you can have the floor, and then if there's no
Sure.
more discussion, we'll get into a vote.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we have debated this for months now. It's time to call the question and put this to bed once and for all.
I hear you, Mr. Johnson there. Seeing as there's no more debate, I'm going to take a little executive authority here, and I'm going to pretend like I didn't hear that, kind of like I'm freezing for a minute there. And we will, at this time, move into a vote here, guys. So just to make sure everybody's clear here, a yay vote or a yes vote would be to approve us getting back into this joint fundraising committee. A no vote would be to remain outside of the joint fundraising committee. Is there any questions on
Yes.
what we're going to be voting on?
Mr. Chair, I have a point of information, actually.
Go ahead.
As the chair, based on what the Rules Committee has said their opinion is based on our standing rules, I would like for you to rule on whether this requires suspension of the rule, specifically Article 7, in a vote of 2/3, or if this is a simple majority vote.
You know, I'm going to quote the prior Rules Committee chair, Mr. Greg Peel, who had told me several times during his term as chair over the 2 years that it is the Rules Committee job to inform the Executive Committee on what the rules are and what our legal obligations are. If the Executive Committee would like to violate those rules or legal obligations, whatever they may be, that is the Executive Committee's choice, but they need to understand the consequences. I believe Mr. Thompson has thoroughly laid out what type of consequences we could face by doing this. I think there have been several members on the EC who have laid out once again what the consequences of doing this could or could not be, both pro and con here. So I'm going to advise the board here that the Rules Committee has made a recommendation. I want you to keep that in mind with your vote, but kind of like Mr. Roos stated, there is no motion to suspend our standing rules here, guys. It's either we make a substitute motion to remove the rule altogether and then come back to this motion here, or that we vote on this and either we violate the rules or we don't. I'm also going to be very honest. Historically, we've done a very poor job as a executive committee of staying in bounds of our standing rules. We have been known to violate them pretty thoroughly at times. So I'm not saying the standing rules are not important. I am just saying the standing rules are the lowest form of rules below Ronner in our organization for a reason. And once again, I want everybody to be mindful if you feel comfortable violating those rules when you vote. So a yes vote would be to enter into the JFC. Again, a no vote would be to stay out of the JFC. Does anybody not understand what we're voting on at this time? All right. I'm going to try this by a voice vote to start. If we have any questionable, if the results are questionable, we'll move to a roll call vote, but let's try the voice vote first. Once again, guys, an I vote would be in favor of entering back into the JFC. A no vote would be against, and we will remain not a party of the JFC. So all in favor of re-entering the JFC and becoming party to that again, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no.
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 That was closer than I would have liked it to be. Ms. Gansky, when you're ready, let's go with the roll call vote.
Matt,
No.
I'm a no. Joe,
Yes.
I'm a proxy for Ed. I'll vote no. Scott,
Yes.
Lee,
Pass, come back to me, please.
Joe,
No.
Joey Ferguson is proxied by Vincent.
Yes.
And Vincent, your vote?
Yes.
Leon,
No.
DL,
No.
Andrew Parrott,
Yes.
Beth Johnson.
No.
David,
No.
Eric,
No.
Chris is not here. James,
Yes.
John Paff is Charlene,
Yes.
Deanna,
No.
Hector,
Yes, ma'am.
Josh.
Let's circle back to Lee before we do me.
Lee,
No.
Is a tiebreaker vote necessary, Ms. Gansky?
no.
No. Who?
The
Can
noes
I
have
get a
it
count?
with
The
11.
noes have it.
Yeah,
All right. Can I just get the vote count real quick, please?
I think it's 7 or 8. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 8 to 11.
8 to 11 with the noes. All right, there. The noes have it handily. I'm going to abstain there. All right, so that ends that motion there. That will bring us back to orders of the day here, which is item 13. Moving on to item 13 on the agenda, old/unfinished business. Do we need to go into executive session this month, guys? Everything's pretty status quo. I don't think there's anything new to update there. We can still go in, but I just wanted to, Mr. Moskrip, go ahead.
No, I was just letting you know that Eric is on the call. You said that we would circle back around to him if he joined later on to report for affiliate support.
Yep, that's why I'm trying to see if we can get to Mr. Cordova there, if we want to dive into executive session real quick. Or
I'm here if you need me.
I will in a second there, Eric. Hang tight for me real quick. Do we need to go into executive session tonight, guys? I personally, I don't think so. But if there's dissent, I'll absolutely, we can go in there real quick and bang out whatever we need.
I have nothing new, so I don't think we need it. Me personally.
All right, I got a vote of confidence on no need for executive session from the treasurer, Mr. Koritzer, Mr. Roos. Let's make this quick so we can keep on moving.
I don't believe we need to go in. It's been a crazy month. Things are copacetic. If we need next month, we could bring it back.
All right, there. I think I've had the chair of the audit committee, the treasurer, myself included, all think we don't need executive session, guys. I think we're going to skip over that there. If there's any strong desire to get, an update, on some of the matters we've discussed in executive session, just reach out to me, Mr. Sokol, Mr. Koritzer, Mr. Johnson, also probably pretty well up to date on things, if I'm not mistaken. So we can do that. Mr. Roos, would you like to go ahead real quick before I give Mr. Cordova the floor for his committee report? Nope. Okay. Awesome. Eric, we had you scheduled to give an oral report here, running a little late, but you're here now, sir. Would you like to get that in before we do notice and announcements?
Yep. Sorry about that, guys. I had a prior commitment that didn't allow me to get here on time, but I'm here now. The main thing I want to report on is that we're going to be piloting a program in one of the regions, and it is hopefully going to be something that allows us to do better as far as people being involved. And I don't want to use the term members, because I know that seemed to be a point of contention earlier. With that said, I am affiliate support, and the goal of it is going to be to tie some affiliates less, I guess, more loosely together, but also time together in a way that is meaningful. And this is something that I don't want to give too many details. I suppose I could, and I'll do it. It's gonna be Region 8. It's my region, and the idea behind it is that as of now, we have basically 2 out of 5 of the counties that are active in our region, right? The other 2 or 3 are not so much. They're trying. 2 of them are trying anyway. But the hard part is getting them to get a full board together. When you do that, and then you have to put together rules. It can be daunting to some people when they don't have the proper support. Well, when you have counties surrounding you that have that support, that have a full board, well, there is a way to work together. And the reason this came about actually was in terms of running campaign events. We have a candidate that ties over from Pinellas and Hillsborough. And so we've been running events concurrently with two counties. So the thought process is, why shouldn't we include Polk and Pasco in this? And potentially Hernando, although there hasn't been many takers as far as getting past Hernando up and running. So the goal is going to be to bring together some of the counties into the Libertarian Party of Tampa Bay so that there is more of a camaraderie in the area. Now, the goal is there'll be representation from each of the 4 to 5 counties involved. And then as they start getting more and more people involved, then allow them to branch out into their own county affiliates. Now, the ones who have them would still maintain it, but the goal would be, for the time being, that you'd have sort of an overlaying group that oversees it, that has more of an investment in helping that happen. And this came about from conversations that we've all had in the region. But I think, given the makeup of our state, in that there's a lot of different city areas that are like that, Orlando, Jacksonville, right, that it might allow for surrounding counties to be able to benefit from the city-based counties where there tends to be more membership. Now, sometimes it's a rural county that just has great membership. I know over in the Panhandle, there's a couple of rural-based counties that are doing really well. They can use the same model, and and you can call it the Libertarian Party of the Panhandle, whatever it is. You guys, I mean, the area better than I do, but we got to pilot it somewhere, and we're going to attempt to do that. And we're going to see how it goes. But the goal is going to be that if we do this right, that Pasco and Polk will benefit from it. And Hillsborough and Pinellas will continue to be strong. So that is what I wanted to bring to the table. I'll take any questions if you guys have
them. Can I speak?
Go for it.
Hey, just quick comment, and I don't know anything beyond this. This has been done before in the northwest corner. There was a region, if you will, kind of organized, which sounds like the way you're talking about, describing here. I forget the guy's name who was the chair of it. I wish I could remember. But anyway, this has been done before several years ago. I just wish I could remember the name. I think some other people on here might be from around that time that could jog my memory.
Was it successful? I was living in New York at the time, so I would not be able to speak to that. Was it successful?
Honestly, I don't know. I think they seem to work well together, but obviously it doesn't exist anymore.
So Joe,
yeah,
I'm going to jump in here. Like, we have a very close working relationship with the counties in our surrounding area. And, Pinellas, I call them before every single one of these meetings that we have. And it's an LPH and LP Pinellas agreement on how I vote on everything. And so I think it will be very different because we're trying to build something a little bit different than what's been done before. So we have Pasco, we have people in Pasco who want to help out. We have people in Polk who want to help out. But we don't have executive committees and we don't have affiliates in each of those areas. So I think what Eric and I have been talking about and what he's trying to explain is that we're going to be able to build a Tampa Bay region group that is sharing resources, sharing strengths and weaknesses in order to help move this forward. And this might not work in every area, but what he's saying, I mean, Joe, you know me, like I try to bring people together. So what Eric is saying is very legitimate, and it's a weird experiment that we're going to try in Region 8, and it's going to be like a Tampa Bay Libertarians group, And yeah, I'm really excited about it. So yeah, Eric, go ahead. Sorry, man, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, and like I said, the end goal is, and the reason that we're going to try it in this way is that, like I said, we've had talks with the people in Pasco and in Polk, and the hardest part is getting over the hump of we have everything we need to do, right? But if you have 2 or 3 people, it allows for them to be a part of, and we'll have rotating meetings, rotating in each of the 4 counties, so that when it's closer to them, you'll have already built-in people that are going to be at the meeting, that when you have a new person coming, they see 25 people. That's a lot more meaningful than there are 2 or 3 of those, the people who are trying to get it started. A lot of people are turned off by that. Like, well, this isn't legitimate. I don't want to be a part of it. Speaking from experience, when we restarted the Queens affiliate back in New York, that's what it was. It was like there were 2 people when Gabrielle and I first went to it. A couple of years later, Larry Sharp was there and he brought people from all around New York City, and there were like 30 people, and we felt, hey, this seems legit, and we got involved at that point, and and that affiliate took off. And I think I'm using something of that model because that was just bringing people to one meeting. The goal here is actually to share resources for a extended period of time, and to share resources and to share bodies of people, right? I mean, realistically, we had 1 candidate running in that area, which is, like I said, a crossover of Pinellas and Hillsborough. Had we thought of this sooner, we probably could have pulled from Pasco and Polk to work with our candidate even sooner. And we already were working with the 2 counties. Like, well, why shouldn't we be pulling people from 4? If we're not running 15 candidates in each of the areas, we might as well be pulling our resources into being as successful as we can with the candidates we have and with the affiliates that we have. So I cannot tell you how successful it's going to be. We think it, given the makeup and the geography we are in the Tampa area, we think there's potential, and it might, and I presented that it might be repeatable.
Hang on. I think we lost everybody. 1 second. Oh, there we go. Can everyone hear you okay?
Yeah, I lost you guys at the end. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah, we heard you.
Okay, good.
All right. Matt, I see your hands up, and then it went back down.
I was just going to call orders of the day. Like, that's literally why I kind of strike the reports at the beginning so that
I got you there. Get it done real quick so nobody can say we skipped over them. All right. So thank you, Mr. Cordova, for giving us your report over here. Getting back on orders of the day, like Mr. Johnson asked, that would be item 14, which is notice that the next executive committee meeting, it will be held on November 17th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. on this same Zoom link here at 7:30 Eastern time. Item 15 is announcements. So we're going to give 10 minutes executive committee members if they have any announcements. Let's get them out now. And then after we're done that, Mr. Johnson, you can go ahead.
I don't actually have anything, but I would like to, if the board would humor me here and give Miss Vina Benoan a minute or 2 to get whatever she's got to announce off her chest.
Sure. All right. Ms. Benoan, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you. And good evening, Libertarian Party of Florida. It is early voting starting tomorrow. And I just want to thank you all for everything that you're doing, everything that you have done. You have definitely made me feel at home here in Florida. Some of you guys know this is where I was born. And I've had the opportunity to just really see and experience everything that's wonderful about our state. But the most moving part has absolutely been how everyone's come together for the hurricanes, and even, I doing what I could do as well. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of community here, and I just wanted to thank you guys. I think you're a swell bunch of people. All inter-party politics aside, all the drama aside, I think we are a good group of individuals working together to promote freedom and less government. And that's why I run for US Senate. And, I'm honored to be your US Senate candidate. And I just wanted to say thank you to you guys. And I look forward to getting involved more on the state party level after the election. And I will be in Texas with Chase Oliver for election night watch party in Dallas. So I figured I would do that because that's the role, right? You wonder where Rick Scott's going to be. Rick Scott's going to be with Trump. You wonder where my other opponent, Debbie Marcel Powell, where she's going to be. She's going to be with Kamala Harris. So I'm going to go be with our Libertarian presidential candidate. And I'm going to try to get back out to Tampa. I've had a really great time meeting everyone. And that's all. I just want to thank you guys. Thank you and encourage you to get out and vote if you haven't voted. So, yeah. There we go. That's it. Thank you.
Nope. Thank you, Fina. We definitely could use that palate cleanser here over the last couple of months there. It's always a rough ride sometimes with all the internal politics, like you said, but, part of the reason I love doing this and I love being part of this organization is the community is seeing our members come together on things, kind of like the hurricane, we've had other things in the past that have come up, big events there. So, definitely agree there. Real quick there, do we have any other announcements?
Oh, I got one. Oh, unless Deanna, you want to take it?
Yes, hold on.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, so
Yeah.
for the gun range event?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that. I just couldn't figure out how to raise my hand on the phone. So yeah, so we've got coming up in Palm Beach, and it's actually not in our count. It's at Okeechobee Shooting Sports on November 3rd. We are doing an outdoor range day where we have a 100-yard outdoor range. It's $50 a person. It's always a great time. Bring lots of rifles. We blow stuff up. Would love anybody from the other affiliates to join us, of course. And if you're interested, just go on to our Facebook or our meetup event, sign up, pay us $50, and we'll see you on November 3rd from 1 to 5.
All right. Awesome, guys. If you can, make your way down there. Let's get as many people as we can for the event there. Just as another side note, it looks like we got another table for CannaFest, which is going to be on November the 2nd up in Lake County there. Third year in a row, I believe, we've had a table or had representation there. So it's going to say if you guys... Hey, Rob.
With CannaFest, I was wondering if you'd want to partner with Decrim Nature like we've done the last 2 years.
I'm not taking lead on it this year, Rob, unfortunately. So I would get with Ed Wagner on that and see if they want to, what we can do to coordinate.
Oh, Ed loved us. Okay, I'll get with Ed on it.
Awesome there, Rob. Thank you. But yeah, guys, had a little bit of a light showing last year. Only a couple of us came out. It's one of our biggest outreach events that we get the opportunity to participate in every year. Rob was there last year, Ed Wagner, both of them, Mitch Wiesek as well. All three of them can attest to this. Day one is the biggest day. We probably had easy out there, roughly about 10,000 people, give or take a few hundred. So, this is a huge chance for outreach. It's the weekend before elections. If you want to get with a bunch of people who care about, seeing Amendment 3 passed, go to CannaFest. If you want to meet people who care about cannabis, go to CannaFest. If you want to meet people who are potentially going to vote and you're running in that area, you might want to go to CannaFest and shake hands with your constituents. So, huge event. It's a real easy, low-hanging fruit for us guys. Like I said, we were really lightly attended last year, so I'd love to see some more people come out, wave some signs for Chase Oliver, wave some signs for Fina down here, since these people are going to be able to vote for her as well, and just kind of get our name out there and let them know that, hey, the Democrats don't care about cannabis in Florida. The Republicans really don't care about cannabis in Florida. But the Libertarian Party of Florida, we're your only real friend left in politics in the state. So Once again, guys, if you can, show up to that there. Otherwise, that'll bring us all the way down to everybody's favorite item on the agenda, which is item 16, which is adjournment. So at this time, the chair
Motion
will
to
entertain
adjourn.
it.
I'll second.
Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I got Joe as the second. I heard like three
Hey,
voices.
Josh,
I'll fourth.
House.
Josh, Mr. Clifford Mitchum was trying to. I'll yield my time to Clifford if he wants to say.
I mean, there's really not any time left, Mr. Vincent, but I'll Cliff, we got it. If you got to get this done during public comment at the beginning of the meeting, this is the last time I'm going to make an exception at the end here. But go ahead, real quick.
Yeah, my deepest apologies to everybody that didn't make time. I've got my family. I've got 3 children that take my time and miss that moment. But I just want to say real quick, this as fast as possible. I have a to get fundraising going on. I had a plan to get it up and running by the time of this meeting, but it was complicated, and I have a plan to move forward beyond that. I really, with all the reasons.
Hey, Clifford, your mic is cutting out. Can't hear you.
Fast to get. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hold on one second. Let me move closer to my Wi-Fi. All right. All right. Main thing being is
Go ahead. Do we lose him?
Okay. I have a plan that can help outreach to about 100,000 potential voters. All right. And people that are actually on the registered voters, and that can make a difference, particularly people that would be open to the Chase Oliver platform. And I truly feel that if we can actually implement this idea, we can actually get some traction. And that's the key thing that we're missing in all of the fundraising efforts that we have right now. So I intended to have data ready for you all to give you some more specific numbers, but it's since been complicated by bureaucracy of antagonism to spammers. So it stopped me from actually getting that data completed. But I'd love to submit a plan and touch base with Josh or the fundraising committee on exactly the nuts and bolts of it. So with that, I'd like to just say that I really feel we can actually have a plan of action that can succeed what the JFC would provide, but it would just be a matter of all the regions working together. All right, with that, I thank you for your time and appreciate you all being out of order to let me have this moment. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Gansky, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I was just
would you
gonna
like
remind Clifford, like we invited him to the general membership meeting and he didn't make it. So if you can make it, it's the first Sunday of the month. Matt posted in the chat as well. That would be a good place to discuss it, because if you're kind of hammering it out, these meetings go really long and we wanna adjourn.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So let's get back on order of the day here.
But I'd love to touch base, and I'll reach out to you, Lisa, for further details.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Back on orders of the day here. I had Mr. Johnson had moved to adjourn. I had Mr. Parrott with the second. Was there any objection to adjournment here, guys, before we call it a night? All right. Hearing no objection. Meeting adjourned, guys. 9:20 p.m. tonight. Good, quick, decently quick meeting there. Got a lot done.